Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Whipple, and happy Halloween, Steve.
Happy Halloween to you. It's already here, isn't it?
I know. I can't believe it. We were just talking about the Christmas decorations in the stores, and the year is going to be over before we know it.
Yeah, the decorations earlier and earlier all the time.
I know. All right. Well, let's talk about Red Onion Burgers. For Halloween or any other night, they have their new online ordering system, which redonionburgers.com. Ready in 15 minutes or less, we're told.
Supposedly, yeah. And I guess, hey, speaking of Halloween, you can order your food online and then go pick it up. And I'm sure it's a little bit easier in case you're answering the door for trick-or-treaters.
That's right.
So
That's right.
why not?
Something to think about. Okay, very good. And thanks again to Sean Richards for his support. And let's talk about tennis because we have some good news.
We do. We have some great news. Two of our guests last week, Arun Koloki and Nick Bernay, were in the studio, Edmonds-Woodway doubles team. And when we last talked to Nick and Arun, they had to win a match on Monday to qualify for districts. And then they had to get through districts. Out of the 8 teams, 3 of them were going to make it to state. Guess what? They made it. So Arun and Nick will be going to state. They have to wait a little while, though, because this is the tennis season for Wesco, but not necessarily for everybody else in state. So that tournament will be taking place in the spring. But I think they'll be happy to wait. It's worth it.
Yeah, they'll have a long off season of practicing.
Yeah, they've got a lot of time to practice.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, very good. And football, again, we were at the stadium and more interesting games.
We were. It was the final week of the regular season, and a few of our teams had already punched their tickets for the postseason play, and one other one needed a victory and got it. But we'll start off with Edmonds-Woodway. Homecoming night on Friday night. They picked up a 55-21 victory over Everett. A game that Edmonds-Woodway scored 48 points in the first half. Jeru Rouse, the sophomore, had I almost said 15 touchdowns. That would be a record.
That would be a lot.
He might one of these days. He's only a sophomore, and he had 4 in the first half the other night, so maybe 15 isn't out of reach for him. But a nice night for him. He had 5 catches for 172 yards. Cameron Krall, the quarterback, great evening as well. 13 out of 16 passing, 281 yards, and 5 touchdowns total. And Edmonds-Woodway ends up going 6-3 on the season overall, and they end up tying Meadowdale in the standings for overall best record as far as Wesco play. Meadowdale does get the tiebreaker though, since they beat them head-to-head, and they both have home playoff games coming up this week because of the fact that they finished 1-2 in the standings. But then we're going to talk about some other teams as well. Linwood picks up a victory over Shorecrest. That clinches the number 3 spot for them in the Wesco 3A South Division.
Okay.
They also make the playoffs. Unfortunately for them, they don't get to play a home game next week, but they won't be going too far, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then Mountlake Terrace, they got another win under their belt, picking up a 50-14 victory over Shorewood. And in this game, Mountlake Terrace scores on 5 of their first 6 possessions. They scored 30 points in the second quarter alone. And Jesse James Martineau, who is a sophomore quarterback for the Hawks and who just started, I think his first start was last week at quarterback anyway. He goes out and throws for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. Garrett McDowell has 2 touchdown receptions. Nice night for him. He's a senior who was originally the starting quarterback earlier this year, so it's a nice way for him to end his year. And then Nick Fisher scores 2 touchdowns on the night. So Mountlake Terrace with the victory. They end the regular season in their season. So we'll wait to find out where they're going to play. And once we have that information, we'll put that on mltnews.com.
Yeah, okay, very good. And volleyball.
Volleyball, playoff time for the schools. Unfortunately for us, one of our teams was eliminated this past week. Meadowdale had a play-in game against Ferndale, and they lost that match. So the Mavs season comes to an end. But a nice season for them. They did make the playoffs and had a much better year than I think some people expected. So congratulations to those ladies on a successful season. Linwood, they made the district tournament, so they're going to be hosting Shorewood on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. So if you're a Royals fan, we encourage you to get out there. And then we have Edmonds-Woodway. Edmonds-Woodway, they defeated Oak Harbor on Thursday night. This was a play-in game, so they needed that victory. They pick up a 3-0 win in that match. They now get to go to Arlington on Tuesday for the first round of districts. And rather than try to give you details about what Edmonds-Woodway did this past week, other than those 2 results there, why don't we just bring in a couple players and have them talk about it? So without further ado, here is Kendra and Kelly, 2 of the seniors on the Warriors team, to tell us a little bit about their season and what's to come in the playoffs. The Edmonds-Woodway Warriors volleyball team picks up a crucial 3-0 victory over Oak Harbor last week, puts them into the district playoffs. And with us right now, 2 of the Warriors volleyball players, Kendra Cooper, who is a senior, and Kelly Gootee, who is also a senior. Ladies, thanks for coming in, and congratulations on making it back to districts. I know you're both in your third year playing on the varsity team. You guys finished 9th as sophomores, just missed the playoffs last year, and now you're back, so it's got to be kind of exciting, right, Kendra?
Yeah, it's really exciting. We're excited to be back in districts and see what we can do with this team this year. We've got a lot of talent, so hopefully it goes well.
We will see, and I should mention, homecoming was this past weekend. Before we get into too much volleyball talk, we're going to talk a little bit about what took place over the weekend. Kendra, we have a picture of you we're going to put up. You were part of the homecoming royalty. Who do we have in this picture with you?
That is my mom and my dad, Cynthia and Dino.
And a good time for them. And you and I were just talking a little bit off air. You're a pretty busy lady on football nights, and that was on Friday night at Edmonds Stadium. Tell me a little bit about your evening, because you are involved with the sports medicine program. How do you go from being on the sidelines and helping out with the players to getting into a dress and then having to get back into that role? What was the evening like for you?
Well, it was a really busy night. The other thing, too, is I was in charge of helping plan the halftime coordination thing because I'm an ASB also. So after the first quarter, I had to go run into the school and change into the dress and then come find my parents out at the stadium and then do the halftime coordination and everything and walk out on the track. And then I had to run back into the school and change back into sports med stuff, put my dress in the car, and come work with the team again.
A real quiet night for you then.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little volleyball right now, and we've got a picture here of the team from, I guess this was last week when you defeated Oak Harbor. Kelly, give me a little bit of an idea as to what this meant to you. This was a loser-out game, so if you lose this match, your season was over.
Yeah, it felt really good to finally make it to districts again, especially from last year. Not making it to districts was really disappointing for us. So finally getting there again felt really good.
And you get the victory there. And we've got some other pictures to put up here. We're going to go ahead and put up another photo right now. This is an action shot. It looks like we have Kendra right here. Tell me a little bit about your game and what you're doing here in this photo.
Mostly, like, my job, I only play front row, so my job is just to get the ball over the net from Kelly's wonderful sets. So in that photo, I'm just trying to, like, put the ball down in a place where the defense is not, try and get a point one at a time.
And that's how it works in volleyball. And then we've got another picture here. This time it's Kelly in action. And I think this might even be from the Oak Harbor game, if I'm not mistaken. But again, third-year player for you at the varsity level. And what are we doing in this picture?
Okay, so I'm a setter, and so that's me setting. And basically, I just set the hitters up to hit, like Kendra, and yeah.
And the fact that you're both seniors means that senior night was also last week. I think we have a few more photos we're going to put up here. Talk to me a little bit about this photo. It looks as though we've got all of the senior players on the team as well as the coaches. Is that right, Kendra?
Yeah, that is right. We have 5 seniors this year, so almost half the team.
And again, third-year varsity players. So Kelly, what does a night like this mean to you in terms of just being able to share it with your other teammates?
It was really sad just because I've been with them for the past, 2 years. Well, some of them for the past 2 years and some for the past 3. So it's really hard to, leave it all behind, especially the coaches that we've gotten so close to. So, yeah.
And senior night also means you get to spend some more time with the family too, right? I think we have a photo here of Kelly. This is you and your family. Who do we have in this photo?
On the right, that's my mom, Lori, and then my dad is in the back, Brian, and then my little sister in the front, Bailey, who also plays volleyball.
So they were able to enjoy that night with
Yeah.
you. And then Kendra, you also had some family come out and join you for senior night. I think some of these folks look familiar from an earlier picture, but who do we have in this picture here?
We have my mom again and my dad, Dino, and then this picture, my brother was there too. He's on the football team. So.
Okay, and your brother's name, we should probably give him a shout out.
My brother's name is Nico. He's a junior.
And Nico, again, part of that football team that's going to the playoffs next week, so good for them. Now, you guys, on that match on Thursday night, kind of a fun evening. You got the victory over Oak Harbor. You mentioned to me earlier that it was a little bit quiet at first, and then it got a little bit louder. What happened to add to that crowd there, Kelly?
Basically, it was a very quiet game. I don't know, because they didn't have very many fans since it was Oak Harbor and it's very far away. And then the football team came in after their team dinner and just brought it to life. And the gym was super loud, and it was really fun.
So, Kendra, as a player, what does that mean for you when you get that enthusiasm and that noise in the crowd? Does it create a lot of energy for the volleyball players too? Or?
Yeah, it creates a lot of energy for the players. It's brings a new energy and enthusiasm, and it means a lot when they come and support us and are that loud and excited to cheer us on and watch us, because we always cheer them on Friday night, so it means a lot when they can come cheer us on.
Nice to have it reciprocated. So now we do move into district play, double elimination tournament. There's 8 teams remaining. top 3 go to state, and you both have been to state before 2 years ago, so we're hoping to get back there. You drew a pretty tough matchup in the first round. You've got Arlington up at Arlington on Tuesday night. Kelly, we'll start with you. This is an Arlington team that's been pretty tough to beat this year, right?
Yeah, they've been a pretty tough team. They have a lot of seniors on their team that have been playing together for a really long time, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see indeed. So, and if you're able to get by that game, or even if you're not, Thursday night you turn right back around and you go to Arlington again, Kendra. These tournaments this time of year, when so much is on the line, is it stressful? Is it fun? Is it exciting? What's your mindset as yourself and as a team at this point?
It's definitely a lot of fun because districts is so not like the rest of the season because it's throughout the rest of the season you obviously have all 3 teams. So when it just gets down to district and it's just the varsity team, I feel like it gets a lot more focused and there's a lot more like excitement and heart because like any game could be your last game.
Sure. Now, we were talking also off the air, Kelly, a little while ago about how you felt this team is really progressing as the season's gone on. Give me a little bit of an example as to maybe what the team is doing better now that they maybe weren't earlier in the season.
I think earlier in the season, we didn't play like as a unit as we are now. We played more for ourselves and together, and now we're playing together and having fun as a team, and I think we've gotten a lot closer over the season.
Sounds good. So again, volleyball we hope it doesn't wrap up for you this week. If not, you'll be looking to do other things. I know both of you are very active in other school activities. Kelly, you are a tennis player. So are you going to be, what happens with you once the season ends here volleyball-wise? Are you playing more volleyball with a club, or are you playing tennis? What are you up to?
Yeah, I play club volleyball from November till June, so that keeps me really busy. And then I get a break in winter, and then in spring I play tennis.
And then Kendra, I understand you recently made an announcement here that you're going back to a sport that you once played at Edmonds-Woodway and gave up for a short time. What are you doing this winter?
I decided I'm going to play basketball again this year. I'm really excited. I felt like I was going to regret it if I didn't at least try out this year. So we'll see what happens, but it should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. And
with new coach Rasmussen there, and I'm sure Missy Peterson's kind of excited to have you back there too, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will see how that goes. And then you're both seniors, so again, it's I know it's still early in the school year, but any thoughts as to what you're going to be doing in the future? Kelly, what are you looking forward to maybe doing?
Well, I've applied to some schools, but I'm not really quite sure where I'm going to go. And I've also been emailing coaches to play volleyball, but we'll see what happens.
Okay, and then Kendra, are you're not going to be playing sports, I understand, next year, but you're hoping to remain very active in sports.
Yeah, I want to go to college and study athletic training to hopefully become a sports medicine doctor for a football or a professional sports team of some kind. So that's where I'm trying to go after high school.
Well, now we understand why she's going back and forth from wearing that dress on homecoming night during halftime, so that makes sense. So, well, best of luck to both of you, not only with future endeavors, but also this week in volleyball. We're really keeping our fingers crossed that hopefully we can be talking about Edmonds-Woodway getting ready for state next week.
Yeah.
But win or lose, it's been a great season for both of you. Congratulations, and hopefully we'll see a few Warriors victories this week. Thanks for coming on the air with us.
Thank you.
Well, good luck to the Edmonds-Woodway volleyball team when they go on this week.
Yeah, no, it should be fun to see how they can do. And yeah, we're looking forward to following them as well as the other teams, one of which we didn't mention yet, Mountlake Terrace.
Right.
It's so confusing now because of the fact that they're a 2A school when it comes to the playoffs. So they're playing in a completely separate tournament. They have their first game on Tuesday night against Cedar-Woolley. And the nice thing for the Hawks is that they're actually hosting the tournament this year. So if win or lose, they get a home game on Thursday night as well. It's double elimination, so they're hoping to maybe have a championship game on their own home floor later on next week.
Oh, that'd be great. Good for them. And cross country, there was some exciting news on the academic side this time.
Yeah, Edmonds-Woodway, the boys team, which we know is very strong in terms of running on the field.
Yeah.
They also get it done in the classroom. They won the 3A state academic championship with a cumulative GPA of 3.82. So congratulations to the Warriors, and nice job by them.
Yeah, that's really great. What else is happening on that one?
Well, yeah, a lot going on in cross country.
Yeah.
All of our teams were over at South Woodby High School this past weekend trying to qualify for state, and we've got some fairly good news from that front. We'll start off with Edmonds-Woodway boys again. They took third place overall as a team, and Matthew Park, no big surprise here.
Oh, we hear his name all the time.
We do hear his name a lot. He actually was the champion. This is the Northwest districts for District 1 and 2, so you've got, I think it was 13 or 14 schools all getting together. Matthew wins the overall championship. Sam McLuhan takes third place. So Edmonds-Woodway 1 and 3. And number 2 was a Meadowdale student. So it was Cameron Sanders taking second. So we had Edmonds School District taking the first, second, and third spots. Other runners who qualified for state were Colin Netchell from Meadowdale. He finished in 11th. And then Luell Wolde, who we just had in studio
we
just a
did
couple
have
weeks
him
ago.
here, yeah.
And we were talking to him about how he was kind of on the fringe. He wasn't sure if he was going to qualify or not. Finishes in 23rd place, so Luell also makes it to state, and he will be heading to Pasco along with those other gentlemen next weekend to try to see what they can do over there at the state championships.
That's great. And the girls did well, too.
Girls did very well. The girls, Edmonds-Woodway girls team won the overall, as well as one of their individual runners, Yokino Parle, another big surprise, right? She's been winning quite a bit this year. She finishes with a time of 19 minutes even, and not another big surprise, but Malia Pivic from Linwood, directly behind her, running a 19:02. So they were first and second place. And then we're going to mention a few other names we know. So it was very big on the Edmonds School District front here, in particular Edmonds-Woodway High School. Olivia Meter-Yetter finished third, Sydney Boland fourth, and then Stephanie Rubluski finished fifth, all three of which are Edmonds-Woodway students. So you do the math there, and it was a nice afternoon for Edmonds-Woodway. Brooke Schroeder from Linwood also finished in 17th place. So Brooke also qualifies for the state tournament next week. And then we have to go back to Mountlake Terrace again. So we're done talking about the 3A schools.
Right.
Now it's the 2A tournament. Mountlake Terrace wasn't able to qualify to state as a team, but they did get some individuals who were able to make it. So we have Nick Ladick on the boys' side of things. He finished in 12th place, so he qualified. And then from the girls' team, it was Catherine Gustafson who finished in 13th, Jessica On in 18th, and Sophia Nelson finished in 21st. So all of them will be heading to Pasco next Saturday.
Oh, very good. That's great. And soccer.
Soccer, it's playoff time.
Yeah.
District started this past weekend. A little bit of surprising news on it for one of our teams, Edmonds-Woodway, and this is a double elimination tournament, but Edmonds-Woodway, who had won the state championship 2 years ago, finished in third place last year, lost their opener in the tournament. They lost to Shorecrest 2-1, lost on a shootout, so it was 1-1 at the end of regulation and overtime. So Edmonds-Woodway falls into the consolation bracket, so now they have to win 3 straight matches to get into the state championship again, or state tournament. And the team they'll be playing on Tuesday is Linwood,
my
a
gosh.
team that lost to Arlington on Saturday night. So it's Linwood versus Edmonds, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. at Edmonds Stadium. Losing team is done for the year. Winning team gets to move on to play at Shoreline Stadium on Thursday. And if they're able to win that game, they will get to play at Shoreline again on Saturday to get to the state tournament. So Linwood or Edmonds-Woodway, one of them is going to knock the other one out this week. So stay tuned for that. And then Mountlake Terrace. Mountlake Terrace on the 2A side of things, they had a play-in game late last week, defeated Anacortes 3-2, so they advanced into the district tournament. Unfortunately for them, they also lost their first round of that tournament. They had a 11 a.m. game on Saturday morning up at Linden, or up in Bellingham against Linden, so they lost that game and they're now in the consolation bracket. And rather than try to tell you who they play next, we brought 2 of their players in to talk all about it. So here's the interview with a couple of the members from the Mountlake Terrace Hawks girls soccer team. District playoff soccer is in full effect, and one team that is still alive right now is the Mountlake Terrace Hawks girls soccer team. They're a 2A team for the playoffs, and with us right now, 2 of the juniors on that squad, Sammy Ruiz and Isa Kembel. And the 2 of you, first of all, congratulations on what was a great victory last week. You had a loser-out game, play-in game, I should say, for the to get into districts, and you defeated Anacortes 3-2. Isa, you scored the first 2 goals, and then Sammy, you scored the game winner. So we've got all three goals covered right here. And I think we'll start off by talking about that game a little bit. Again, your season was on the line. If you lose, you're going home. Isa, tell me about your 2 goals first of all.
Well, the 2 goals I tried creating in the first half. The 2 goals, it just came, and I really wanted to score because I didn't want to go home. I really want to win. And when the 2 goals were scored, they scored 2 goals as well. So that's when we had to kick it in a little bit. And that's when Sammy Ruiz scored the winning goal.
And Sammy, hey, nice segue right there. So you did get the winning goal. Tell me about the winning score.
That was a really great goal from help of Bree Cockbane. She crossed in a corner, which also she crossed one to Isa too, and we both scored headers. And she had really amazing crosses that game, which helped us get those goals.
So a nice team effort. And speaking of team, we've got a picture we're going to put up right here a little celebration going on there. This is, again, you can't do it without each other, right? So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about what it means to look at a picture like this and to know that the two of you, as well as a few of your teammates, are sharing a moment there.
It's a really great picture because you can also see how much we really care about each other and how we all celebrate together and are very excited when any of us score.
Now, you just had a game this weekend, Saturday morning up in Linden. Didn't go as well as we planned, but it's a double elimination tournament now. But 11 a.m. up in Bellingham. And we should talk about this a little bit because Mountlake Terrace, 2A school, but they play in Wesco 3A during the regular season. So you're constantly playing Linwood and Shorecrest and Edmonds-Woodway and Meadowdale, et cetera. You're staying close to home. And then when you go into district playoffs for 2A now, you're kind of the school that's way on the south end while everybody else is up closer to the Canadian border.
Yeah.
First of all, what is it like to have to play at 11 a.m. on a Saturday up in Bellingham?
Well, we have to wake up early, but a good way to get our sleep is on the bus.
Okay. So was the majority of the team sleeping on the way up? Sammy, does that sound right? Okay.
Yeah, we all brought our blankets and we're cuddling up on the bus.
And it's a little bit easier to deal with, I guess, when you have to play
Yeah.
there early. And now you turn back around, so you're now on the consolation side of things. So you pretty much have to win 3 consecutive games here coming up this week.
Yeah.
If you lose any of them, you're done for the year. So you really need to start picking up victories. And on Tuesday, you're playing Bellingham in Bellingham at 3 p.m., which means you get out of school early, right? So there's that. That's kind of nice. And again, it goes back to the whole travel thing. And even if you win that game, you end up playing in Renton for the next match. Sammy, does the team enjoy the travel a little bit? Or is it a trade-off because now you do get, I guess in theory, some easier opponents, but you do have to go a little further away?
Yeah, it's kind of nice because we also get a little difference of instead of 3A to 2A, we don't really know exactly what to expect. So it helps us come out really, really strong and not to underestimate our other opponents too. And sometimes it's nice to have them because like if it's later in the day, like 7 o'clock games, then we're all like our games. If it's in the morning, we're sleeping all together. So
a little bit of everything
Yeah.
going on there. Well, and I guess I should mention, Isa, you play on select teams as well when you're not playing here. I know your dad was telling me that you've got some travel coming up on your schedule here. Where exactly are you going to play soccer?
I'm going to California, San Diego, to play for Surf Cup. And then 3 days later, I'm going to North Carolina. It's just so many big tournaments that are very crucial because I'm getting contacted by a few colleges that are within state and also just a couple states away.
And I get the impression for soccer in this day and age, especially at the high school level, so much of the recruiting takes place now on the select teams, almost more so than the high school teams. Is that correct?
Yeah, premier teams, club teams, to be
Okay.
exact, yeah.
Now, Sammy, we do have an action shot we want to put up here of you. There's a shot from not too long ago. But you're not just playing soccer. We've had you in studio before. You're also a softball player,
Yeah.
and a pretty darn good one at that.
Thank you.
So now, while Issa's playing soccer for quite a bit of the year, you're playing softball. As a matter of fact, you had a softball practice earlier today. We're
Yeah.
recording this on a Sunday. So how exactly do you prioritize things right now, especially this time of year?
It gets pretty crazy sometimes with school soccer and softball because usually Wednesdays after after soccer practice, I have to shoot straight softball, and then Sundays we have like 4-hour practices, so that can be kind of long, and then having to do homework too. But as long as I manage my time pretty well, it works out pretty good. Usually during the day at school, I'm able to like get most of my homework done during lunch or during we have like pass schedule, so it's like an extra period. So I'm able to fit everything in, and it's good to do all those things because it keeps me really on my feet and just always busy.
And your coach, Alvin Little, he's okay with the schedule. He gets it.
Yeah.
He's to work with.
Yeah.
Speaking of Coach Little, new coach this year, correct? Mm-hmm. And also, I should mention he's a Seattle police detective. I think when he's not coaching, right? Which is
Yeah.
kind of interesting. Issa, tell me a little bit about Coach Little and what he's meant to this team so far.
Well, like I said, Coach Little has brought a new structure to our team. He's been focusing on everyone, and in tryouts, he's just been observing everyone's style of play. It's not just an individual player, it's the whole team itself, too. We've been practicing on crosses for the offense and defense as well.
And Coach Little must have thought this was pretty easy early on, right? You guys started off with 5 straight victories, Sammy.
Yeah.
I think that's more victories than you had all of last year combined, right? So tell me about a little bit about the start to your season.
Our start to our season was pretty good. We played a lot of non-conference games too, so that was pretty fun because we got to travel a bit also. But yeah, we came out really, really strong. Everyone was really pumped for the season. It was really exciting, especially having those many winning streaks in a row. It was really nice.
And then you hit a little bit of a bump in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
I've got to think a little bit of that is attributed to the fact that Wesco 3 is just so tough this year. Is that correct, Issa? Is that...
Yeah, especially the injuries that we had in our team had a great effect on our team. Like, I mean, it brought us to a slump, but the team's injuries as well had an effect on that too.
Now, I know you were down a couple Maddies at one point this year, right? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
So Maddie Powers, a senior who had a nice career at Mountlake Terrace, out for the year with an injury. Is that correct,
Yeah,
Sammy?
she broke her fibia at, was it the Woodway game, I believe?
Yeah, the Woodway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that took a big toll on her team because she's also one of our captains, and it just kind of brought the team down a little bit, but we were able to come back up from that and play harder for her.
And then the other Maddie you got back, right? So Maddie Sadler is now back in goal, correct? Okay.
Yes.
Very nice. And so now we look at the schedule coming up. You play Bellingham, again, we mentioned it already, 3 p.m. on Tuesday. Do we know much about the Raiders at all? This goes back to the fact that you're in Wesco and they're in the Northwest Conference.
Yeah.
Do we know anything about Bellingham at all? Or is it kind of the mystery right now?
They lost to Linden twice in their season. We just don't want to underestimate them. We just want to come out strong.
Now, in the past, when you've played district playoffs, you've always played against Wesco teams. So you were always matched up against teams you'd already played during the year. Now you get all these teams that you don't know. Is that more exciting for you? Does it make it more nerve-wracking when you go into a big playoff game? How does this for you in terms of getting ready to play a team like that?
I think it's a mixture of both exciting and nerve-wracking because we don't really know exactly what they have on their team, like what kind of players do specific things that we do know by playing the Wesco teams that we've played so many times. But it's also very exciting to play new teams and not just play the same players over and over and getting something new and different.
And I guess on the flip side of that, you don't know them, but they don't know you either, right? So I guess it's kind of a surprise for everybody.
Yes.
Nice. So again, Tuesday, 3 p.m. up in Bellingham. If you lose that game, your season's over. If they win, you move on to playing Thursday at Liberty High School. That's in Renton. And then if you're able to win there as well, then on Saturday you would play an 11 a.m. start to try to make it into the state tournament. So real easy math, right? Win 3 times in a row and you're in. So that's simple, right, ladies?
Yeah.
We'll see if it's that simple. So, hey, Sammy, Issa, thank you very much for coming in today, and best of luck to you on Tuesday. And also, we are hoping best of luck on Thursday.
It was fun talking to the parents of the girls in the studio before their interview about what a transition it's been for going to 2A for the playoffs. Just different schools, different cities, lots of travel. It's an adjustment.
Well, especially the travel, and that's, I think, was some of the concern going into the year, having to make that adjustment from 3A to 2A. There's a trade-off there. If you, by going down to 2A, in theory, the team should be a little bit easier to play against. You're matched up against other schools that are the same size.
Yeah.
But geographically speaking, we just don't have a lot of other 2A schools in this area, so you therefore have to go up north to play in these tournaments, and that creates an 11 a.m. game at Bellingham on a Saturday and potentially a 3 p.m. game on a Tuesday up in Bellingham. So, they're going to get pulled out of class a little more often than maybe the parents would like them to, but I think the students kind of like it. So,
Well, it sounds like they get some sleeping time on the bus.
yeah, that surprised me a little bit, but I guess can't say that I blame them. Mountlake Terrace football team had an 8 p.m. game on Friday night, and I know a lot of those young ladies were at that game, so I'm sure that getting up the next morning and having to play soccer 2 hours away at 11 a.m., not that easy of a thing to do.
Yeah, no, not when you're a teenager anyway.
No.
Yeah, okay. Well, we still have swimming to talk about, right?
We do. We don't have any results to report this week because a lot of the bigger swim meets are coming up this coming week as well as the following week. We have the 2A district championships taking place on Friday and Saturday at Anacortes. Plays the whole Mountlake Terrace having to travel again thing, so they're going to be going on up there on Friday and Saturday. And then our other 3 schools, Edmonds-Woodway, Meadowdale, and Linwood, will be competing in the 3A district championships a little bit closer to home. They'll be at the Snohomish Aquatic Center on Friday and Saturday.
Okay, good. And you have some football playoff news for us?
We do. As we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, 3 of our teams making it to postseason play this year. Linwood will be playing at Garfield, and when I say at Garfield, more than likely that means they'll be playing at Memorial Stadium in downtown Seattle. And then Meadowdale and Edmonds-Woodway will both have home games. Meadowdale will be matched up against Lakeside, who finished in 8th place in the Metro League. And then Edmonds-Woodway will be going up against Lakes from down in Tacoma. We don't know the times and the dates on those games yet. What we do know is that both of those games will take place at Edmonds Stadium. We're hearing some early rumors that they both might be playing on Friday night, potentially a Friday 5 p.m. and then an 8 p.m. game, a doubleheader.
Yeah.
But we're going to confirm that this week, and when we do, we'll put that on myedmondsnews.com, linwoodtoday.com, and
Yeah.
wherever else you need to have that posted. But we do also know that we will be broadcasting those games this week on Sound Live Sports Network. So
Yes, we will.
stay tuned for updates on that, and hopefully we'll have folks watching and seeing if those teams can get to the next round. And I don't want to leave without
Good
mentioning.
luck to all the teams this week.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay, well, that does it for us, and have a safe and happy Halloween for those of you who are trick-or-treating or otherwise engaged, and we will see you next week.